start. Hello everybody, welcome to Frontlock's channel where we take the games from the back and put them in the front. This is May, and we're back at it again with Umineko When They Cry. So we're talking about with the family, catching up on good times and some bad times maybe, we'll see. So let's get back into it. But before, I'd like to say, talk about a few things that are happening. So I ordered a capture card. Apparently a good capture card. I think it said 4K. I paid a decent amount for it, so I'd hope it's good enough. Because like, if I paid enough for it, I definitely want it to be good. I ordered a cam link before, but that broke. I was really hoping for that to work for the streaming, but nope. So I just ordered a Elgato now. Another thing, sorry for the pause, I had to check audios, make sure it's good, because you never know how audio is with streaming, because like that Luna Light stream still haunts me. Another new thing that I'd like to show, let me see, where is it? Got a new keyboard. It's like RGB, so it lights up. It's pretty cool. Here, I don't know if it'll pick up, but listen. Like, it has a very satisfying click sound. I just spent a ton of time just clicking on it. Really fun. It's really fun, and I'm glad I spent a decent amount. I also got a new mouse. It's Razer. It's not that great. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to go with the aesthetic. It's kind of like a pink. I don't know what color it is, but it's kind of similar to like the regular Famicom, if you know what I mean. So it's pretty similar to that, those colors. And then I got the pink mouse to go along with it because, you know, gotta look the part. Oops, that's the wrong window. Right, okay, there we go. So we're back to business. Let's get started. Anyway, there were both girls and guys here. Plus we had people over a wide spread of ages, adult, high school, and elementary school. Even if we just talked about our own lives, the others three kept listening attentively. Man, I don't know what it is about family gatherings, but I can never, ever talk about my own life because, like, it's so boring. Family gatherings are just not fun for me. I don't know. Not that I don't like my family, of course, I love my family, but it's just hard to talk about stuff, you know. Especially when everyone else is doing cool stuff and then you're just like, oh, I sat on my computer today. You know how it is. How it is. I think I'm finally getting used to all this. Jessica and Maria have grown more than I could have imagined in the past 6 years. To be honest, I was feeling a bit uncomfortable. Talking like this, I guess that on the inside, nothing's really changed since back then. I agree, you haven't changed a bit, even after 6 years. Even though your body's gotten gigantic, you're still a kid on side. Ooh, I'm a kid too. Don't say Maria. I'm a kid too. Well, even you aren't gonna be a kid forever, are you, Maria? You're gonna transform from a kid into a cute young lady, aren't ya? When that happens, that flat-ass boy just will reach Jessica's level, huh? Man, he really has no filter. The promise. Ooh, let you touch it. No, don't do that, don't do that. No, Maria-chan, you can't make that kind of promise. That's bad. Ooh, I promise, so I'll let him touch him. Hit my promises. Always keep them, ooh. Or you really are an earnest good girl. The guy you marry is gonna be really lucky. Hey, stop trying to change the subject by making it sound pretty. Maria, that promise never happened. Never. Ooh, the promise is cancelled? I thought without Badler and our little quartet, this group of cousins just didn't feel complete. These 6 years have been kind of lonely. That's true. We didn't really goof off like this, though we did have some pretty constructive conversations, right? Stuff about preparing for a future exam, talking, finding jobs, employment. Can you believe it? Personally, I'm employed as an archiver, so I'm kind of busy, you know. I'm sorry. Now that I'm here, we just talk about stupid stuff and mess around. I'm having more fun this year. Ooh. That's true. I agree, this year's the most fun yet. Maria's sincere words probably spoke for everyone present. George Anarchy stroked Maria's head and giggled like a happy kitten. I cannot picture George as a kitten. That is scary. That is a scary thought. Someone out there has to have drawn it. I'm not looking it up, but if someone wants to confirm. Pardon me. Meal is ready. Timid knocking sound and equally timid voice of a young woman came through the door. Jessica answered brightly. Shannon, come in. You remember Battler, right? Jessica stood up from the bed and opened the door. There stood a servant girl who must have been about our age. It's been quite some time since we last met, Battler-sama. Nice to see you after 6 years. It's me, Shannon. Trembling a little as she noticed me, she bowed deeply. Ah, Jessica had me surprised, but look at you, Shannon-chan. Oh, guess what he's gonna talk about next. You've turned into actual beauty too, haven't you? You are too kind. Still, the food on this island must be really nutritional, huh? What are you eating and how are you training to get boobs that big? Okay, buddy. Bruh. What is Badler's issue, bruh? Why is he getting freaky? Both hands poised and saliva dribbling from my nose, I closed in. For the sake of justice and my personal honor. To point out that I don't suffer from some strange disease that makes my lymph nodes itch until I scratch my neck open, and which can only be prevented by fondling breasts. Wow, that is a sentence I just read. This is just a Badler style method of communication. If I slowly close in on her like this, odds are 9 out of 10 I get slapped or clobbered, right? So I can use Battler-sama's original technique to spark a gag like this and break the ice. That is not a breaking the ice thing you do with your family, bro. Well, it also means I really get to touch them with that 1 in a 10 chance to right. Yeah. Like that ever happened. At that point, my hands were less than a centimeter away from Chana-chan's boob, but the counter-strike had yet to come. She blushed and lowered her head in embarrassment when she realized what's going on. She stood there with both hands politely in front of her, not even trying to resist her cover. Hey, I wasn't planning on this. Please hit me right now, or seriously, I'm gonna. Which is why I was glad that Jessica chose that time to drive her elbow in the back of my head. Good old Jessica putting him back into place. Ooh, thank you so much, Jessica. Why the hell are you thanking me? Seriously, my bad, Shannon-chan. Almost got overwhelmed by your hypnotic jest. More importantly, anyone who gets that close has to be a molester. So you're saying you're a molester. I don't think you want to say that, buddy. You gotta fight back when people do that. But you are important guest, Battler-sama. Well, Battler needs to learn a little chill. Look here, a pervert's a pervert, whether he's a guest or not. A girl just has got an air defense identification range of about 10 centimeters, so when someone trespasses within 2 centimeters, that's always already an invasion of airspace. You'd better scramble the jets immediately and give them an instant slap. Couldn't do such a thing because we are furniture. Why would she say that? Of course she didn't want her breast touched, but if a guest so desired, he was prepared to sacrifice to suit their wants. That is a horrible way of thinking. A girl like this needs some urgent protection. I think such devoted girls still existed in this era. Enough to make a man dizzy. But no, I'm coming at you with a perverted face again. Put me down. Look out, pervert on the list. This guy can't end until you deliver the punchline, so slap me. Please hit me. I didn't know he was freaky like that. I cannot fulfill your requests. I'm furniture. But in order, I'd obey you. Because that is my duty. How are they treating these maids? Very poorly. Aha, I'll make it in order. Next time Battler-kun tries to touch your breast, counterattack with a slap. Got it? Yes. As you wish. Now realizing how embarrassing it is to actually read goofy ass stuff like this out loud. But it's fine. Yes, as you wish. From now on, that's what I'll do. Please understand, Battler-sama. She's very happy. Good for her. Kanan-chan announced this while bowing elegantly to me. Expression was radiant. Gave her a thumbs up to show her I was fine with that. Texting me, oh no one. 6 years ago, you might have been mistaken for a servant's daughter who lent you a hand at parents' work. Now you're a full-fledged adult servant. How long have you been working here? Well, I had the pleasure of serving this household for about 10 years. Kanji for her name is read as Shannon. But here's another that's typical for a Japanese person. Or far from check. Hold on, I think I need to check this. Okay. It was nothing. I already read it. Let's see. The nice thing about my keyboard is that it just turns off when you're not using it. But my mouse stays on no matter how long you're using it. Back in the day, I was a kid myself, so I accepted her name without paying much attention. Thinking about it now though, her name was pretty unusual even though she's not a member of the Ushiromiya family. Maybe it's like a servant's professional name or something. So that might explain why her name's so similar to Kanan-kun, that a kid that I met earlier in the Rose Garden. She's a long-term servant who served here since she was 6 years old. Appearance had changed so much that I couldn't match her to the person in my memories. We both knew each other 6 years ago. The shy part of her had always been there, but she did seem to have developed a allure you'd expect of a girl her age. Especially in her breast, yes. Yeah, that comment. That kid we met earlier, Kanan-kun, is her little brother. Huh. Not exactly my little brother. Oh. Still, he loves me like a big sister. So it's like, oh, you're like a big brother or whatever. Or sister. You know. He didn't cause you any trouble, did he? Ah, he's the same as always. Only he were just a bit more sociable. I apologize if he's caused you any trouble. Oh, far from it. Nah, he didn't cause any trouble at all. As a fellow man, I understand how moody you can get at that age. I'm surprised he's unsociable. Like me. Ooh, I get called that all the time too. Be called unsociable. It's like Kanon. Ooh. You aren't so unsociable at all, Maria-sama. Fake introverts when the real introvert walks in. Who wanted to be like him? Oh, I got a weird cough. There we go. Ooh. There we go. You said the meal was ready, right? My throat. Maybe I shouldn't have eaten like 5 minutes before streaming. Oh well. Hold on, here it is. Okay, there we go. Ah yes, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, now my voice is weird. Okay, I think it's fine now. Meal has been fully prepared, so please allow me to guide you all to the mansion. Yanan bowed again formally and returned to her duty mode. Realized that if we made her stuck around for any more light conversation, it would actually make it harder for her to do her job. Yes, you do. We got off our butts to avoid interfering with our work any further. So shall we go to the mansion? Everyone's probably hungry, right? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Goda-san's food. Not Goda personally. He's kind of a jerk. But they don't really know that. Good at cooking. Ooh, I can't wait. Let's go, Maria. We're gonna stuff ourselves like pigs. Ooh, stuff ourselves like pigs. No, you can't take everything Badler-kun says seriously, okay? Definitely. Because he's always just joking around. You know him, Badler joking around. Okay, let's go. I really like the interior here. Like, very nice. Why the lonesome chair? I'd put something a little, maybe a plant or something next to it, honestly. Maybe even a painting. A witch's painting. Under Shannon-chan's guidance, we headed towards the mansion. Met once again by the magnificent rose garden, we continued onward. The intimidating mansion of the Oshiromiya family came into view. Apparently been built shortly after the war, so you could feel the dignity of almost a half-century hanging about it. The building was gorgeous on the surface, but old as it was, the equipment such as the AC and heating were apparently quite frail. You say? According to Jessica, midwinter was especially tough, but with all the drafts. Haven't these people ever heard of a kotatsu? I love a kotatsu. I want to try one day. Maybe when I go to Japan. Which probably won't be for a while. There you go. That's how you do an interior with a nice little, what do you call those? Pew? No, those are church. That's just a seat. We entered the entrance hall. Each servant greeted us. Now him I remembered. Genji-san, like an Overwatch, who had been working here longer than anyone, filled the role of the head servant. Rattler-san, it has been quite some time since we last met. Our eyes met, he greeted me with a calm, composed voice. Although wasn't as graceful or refined as Goda's. Despite its simplicity, it communicated his feelings very well. Genji-san, it really has been a while. Look well. Thank you, I have been quite well. Butler-sama, you have been a splendid young man. You are beginning to resemble the master in his use. Look like grandfather? That means grandfather was pretty popular with the ladies when he was young. Hehe. From here on, I shall take Shannon's place and accompany you. Please come this way. Shannon-chan bowed deeply as he watched us leave. Can't tell if that sounds from the game or someone being annoying in the halls. After that, we headed toward the dining room under Genji-san's guidance. Genji-san, just like Kumasawa-san, stood in a stark contrast to us young people who had grown beyond recognition over the last 6 years. Now someone. His appearance was exactly the same as my memories from 6 years ago. It was as though time had stopped since the last time we met. Genji-san was extremely quiet and a diligent person. Basically grandfather's close aide or caregiver, yeah, why did I say car? You might even call him grandfather's companion of many years. In fact, it seems he was by grandfather's side even more often than my late grandmother was. According to Jessica, grandfather trusted him more than any of his blood relatives. But I wonder how long he served. Never got the details, but I heard something about him being here at the very beginning, when this mansion was first constructed, which would mean that he's dedicated half of his life to serving here. Easy to see why he's so trusted. Long-time employee. As we pass through the massive hall, extend up to the second story of the mansion with no separating floor. Spotted something that hadn't existed in my memory 6 years ago. What could that be? Oh. Is that it? I think that's it. It's her. Beatrice. 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 Beatrix. An awfully big portrait hanging from right in front of the stairs that rose to the second floor. Without thinking, I stopped walking, captivated by it. It's very captivating. It's like very massive. So I stopped so fast, Maria was following behind me, ran into my back. Ooh. Sorry. Hey Jessica, has that picture always been here? Pointed at that big, prominently displayed portrait in the hall. Everyone else stopped too. Oh, right. When you last came here, that hadn't been hung yet, had it? When was it again? Well, my memory doesn't fail me. It was put on display sometime around the year before the last. You are correct, sir. April of the year before the last, the master put it on display there, having previously ordered a painter to create it. I wonder who painted it. Kinda hope they say. Grandfather did that? So he did pay to have it painted just for him, huh? Portrait suited this western mansion, and the woman in the elegant dress gave off a sense of refinement. Couldn't have guessed her age, but her sharp eyes and the strong will she seemed to possess made her look youthful. Being somehow different from the composed middle-aged woman you often see in famous pictures. A certain evil vibe getting from her. I don't know. I don't know, chat. If she'd have normal black hair, I might have assumed this was a portrait of my long-deceased grandmother in her prime. However, she had beautiful blondie hair and didn't look Japanese at all. So, just who is this lady? Maria answered that simple question enthusiastically, as though proud she knew the answer. Ooh, I know, she's Beatrice. What? Beatrice, the witch. Didn't you ever hear the stories about her long ago? Witch, you mean the witch of the Island? I think I already said this, but Rokujima is a small island, only 10 kilometers in circumference. What the heck is a kilometer? However, that's actually pretty massive considering that only the Urashiyama family lives there. So only the harbor and the area around the mansion were set up to be lived in. Beyond that, the island remained as untouched as it was uninhabited. Vast and empty forest had absolutely no lights, phones, or people passing through, just living in the moment. To understand how dangerous it is, you need to forget your common sense as a city dweller. After all, if you happen to fall down a hole in the depths of the forest and sprain your ankle, no one would come save you no matter how much you cried or screamed. Unless Beatrice. Then once the sun went down, the forest would be wrapped in the complete darkness since there were no streetlights. Since there were no signs, it'd be easy to get lost and confused, losing your sense of direction inside that dark forest. Nowadays, most people see a dark forest as a peaceful place. I don't. If I go in the forest, I'm scared. I'm going inside. But to the people of the bygone eras, before the light of the civilization drove out the night, forests were geographically separated from civilization as the sea. There were oceans above ground. I mean, pretty much. Have you seen the stuff that lives in there? Not to mention bears, weird bugs, all the different types of creatures that is just very scary. For oceans above, yeah. Fishermen who go out into the sea are putting their lives at risk despite their technical knowledge. In the same way, hunters who go out in the forest are in danger despite having specialized knowledge of their own. It's unknown forest, so you don't really know where you're going. Children were to play in such a dangerous forest, something terrible might happen. Someone's parents must have thought so. Maybe grandmother first said it, or maybe it was grandfather himself. Perhaps the story has been passed down on this island since ancient times. There's a terrible witch in the forest, so you must not go in. At some point, the ghost of story of Rokujima was born. This is the legend of Rokujima's witch. That's why when we talk about a witch on this island, we're referring to the master of the vast and savage forest. I think it's not a savage garden. Come to think of it, when I stayed at this mansion as a little kid during those eerie nights when the wind and the rain poured on the windows, remembered being terrified by the story of the forest witch who roamed around searching for human sacrifices. So, creatures, huh? Nanaki mentioned it. I searched my memory and I was sure I recalled hearing a name like that when I was little. See, still I totally forgot that the witch in the legend had an elegant name like Beatrice. So did grandfather go out of his way to have a portrait made just because grandchildren didn't believe the story? He's the witch from grandfather's delusions. Since he had this picture handy, he's been having a harder and harder time telling the difference between truth and fantasy. The Chunny. To us, she's just a witch that exists in grandfather's mind, but to him, she's a being that exists on this island. This, he says, had the painting made because of the rest of us would be incapable of understanding otherwise. The whole thing's creepy as hell. Lady, this portrait is precious to the master. Think of you did not say such things in front of him. Good thing he's not in the room right now. I know, even if he didn't tell me, I'd never do something like that. Just because I glanced at the portrait with an irritated gaze before turning away. Let's go. We're making everyone wait in the dining room. Ooh, I'm hungry. A small portion of this island was controlled by the Oshiromiya family, and the other was to the witch. No, I'm just kidding. All the lawless remainder of the domain of the witch, Beatrice. Might as well call her the true ruler, Rokujima. Felt a faint revival of that unsettling sense of misfortune, which I'd felt when I learned of the tutorially god's shrine being struck by lightning. I remember that Kumasawa-san tried to tell an ominous story about Rokujima before Jessica stopped her. I don't know what she was planning to tell us about this island, but I do know one thing. It isn't the Oshiromiya family that rules Rokujima. It's the witch Beatrice. Beatrice! Beatrice! That's right. After all, this is the witch's island. Battler, so slow. I looked around, everyone was already heading towards the dining room. I hurriedly chased after them. They're starting to heat up. Walked up to the huge double doors that led into the dining room. Ji-san knocked. I brought the children. Please pardon the intrusion. Doors were open and we were invited inside. Oh, that's the sound from when you start the visual title screen. Dining room, which looked exactly as you'd imagine in a rich person's dining room to be. A super long table that was obviously positioned with no purpose other than to make the guests conscious of their rank. Parents were already sitting in accordance with that ordering. You're late, brats. Hurry up and take a seat. Old bastard pressed us to sit. Only gaps in the group of people were the spots we were supposed to sit, which only made us feel our tardiness. Seat at the head of the table called the incipient. Yeah, I can't say that word. What is that word? Incipient. Getting to come into being or to become apparent. Incipient. Incipient. I'm just gonna say incipient. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. For the highly ranked reserved grandfather. His ass is not coming out of the room. It's still empty. He probably wanted to show up last for dramatic effect. I was here. Dramatic effect. From the perspective of someone facing the incipient's chair, his head on, the seating order went from left to right, with the lower ranking seats progressing in the rows of the two further away from it. The left-hand side of the first row closest to the incipient's chair was where Uncle Cross should have sat, since he was second highest rank. Looked like he hadn't arrived yet, so the seat is empty. Across from his chair on the right side of the first row sat the eldest daughter of the family, Aunt Eva, was the third highest in rank. The left-hand side of the second row was the fourth highest in rank. There sat my dad, Rudolph, the third of the siblings. Across from him on the right side of the second row sat Aunt Rosa, the youngest sibling. At this point, you might expect their husbands and wives to come next. But nope. Left-hand seat in the third row, rank number 6, belonged to Jessica, because she's the head of the company or something. Opposite her was George Anarchy. I sat next to Jessica. Maria sat across from me. And finally, next to me on the left-hand side of the 5th row sat Aunt Natsushi, the 10th highest rank. Opposite her was Uncle Hideyoshi. Next to Aunt Natsushi, in the 6th row in the final seat on the left-hand side sat Kairi-san. The seat opposite to Kairi-san was empty, even though the silverware had been set there and everything. According to this ranking system, that spot was where Aunt Rosa's husband should be sitting. But where is he? No, he wasn't supposed to be coming. His place was made up. He doesn't exist no more. Need to cough. Normally, ranking systems of this sort give spouses equal positions as their parent partners, but the Oshiromi of family system was unique. Maybe it's a remnant of the male chauvinism. If you start with the assumption that a woman's womb is just something to be borrowed, then the children of the descendant would come first, directly followed by the grandchildren. In other words, spouses have no blood ties and therefore placed at the end of the line. Terrible, but by this system, my grandmother would be ranked even lower than me. If he were still alive. They obey their father. After they get married, their husband, after aging their children. It's the old saying, women have no home in any realm. Long ago, when I was still incapable of figuring this all out, I thought it was so great that we could all chat in our little groups, adult siblings with adult siblings, and cousins with cousins. However, now that I can re-examine the seating order after growing up a bit, it stirs up some very complicated feelings in me. Aunt Natsushi, who was married to the eldest son and was the de facto number 2 in managing this family, sat to my right, which meant that she was 2 steps lower than me in the ranking order. It's hard to imagine what might be going inside her heart, so I made a small apologetic gesture to her before sitting down. Yeah, my throat's... I don't know why I don't have any water bottles. It's messed up. How nice to see you, Badler-kun. You've grown quite tall, haven't you? Oh, yeah. 6 long years of eating well, sampling various cuisines, and delivering sustenance from Mother Earth's beautiful, bountiful gifts. Hard work, but I pulled through. Growing up just like a boy, I see. How tall are you now? It's about 180 centimeters. So 180 centimeters. Let's see, 180 to 8. That's about 5'9", so he's like a couple feet shorter than what I would be. I'm taller than Battler, I guess. It is kind of funny to think about. But on Natsu's sheet, that's where you're supposed to say, heck, sounds like all you did was eat. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. After a short pause, she did laugh with me, but it seemed like she couldn't quite figure out what she was supposed to be laughing at. Some woman's is Aunt Natsushi. She's the wife of the eldest son of the family, meaning she's my father's older brother's wife. It's simpler if I just call her Jessica's mother. Yeah, it feels bad to say that like this, but while I didn't exactly dislike her, didn't particularly like her either. I hardly ever spoke with us kids, and all my memories of her involve her talking to the adults about complicated things with a scary look on her face. In fact, since we hardly ever exchanged words, I spent a long time trying to figure out how I should approach her. Though my efforts seemed to have ended in failure. Silverware sat neatly on the table, but the meal itself hadn't been brought in yet. General rule, you couldn't start a meal until the person sitting at the head of the table arrived. I'm guessing we're never gonna have dinner. As long as grandfather didn't come, the lunch would be put on hold indefinitely. Damn, that's a stupid rule. I mean, it's not what I would do personally. Like, in my family, we would just like start. Not even the appetizers would arrive. Simply put, the silence in this room was caused by our parents enduring their hunger while they waited for grandfather. However, the grandfather from my memories would always show up on the time to meals like this, but he's kind of gone insane. I blame Beatrice. It's the kind of person who would never be so late that it kept everyone waiting, especially after the entire group had arrived. Grandfather's pretty late. As far as I can remember, he was always strict about time. Well, that might have been true 6 years ago. It hasn't been that way lately. In fact, he's shown off in his own little world so often that he doesn't even show up at family meals. Still, I figured at least come down today. And again, I feel a lot more relaxed and happy without him. But we can't eat, so without eating, I don't know how I could feel happy. Jessica! When her mother scolded her, Jessica stuck her tongue out and looked away. No way around it. Might as well wait until our host arrived. When I glanced at the clock, I saw that it was almost 12:20. In this place, we never eat food on time. We're lucky to. Alright. 8 point. Ushiroma Kinzo, the aged family head of the Ushiroma head family. This man could be seen in his study. The clock had already passed noon, but he didn't even attempt to rise from his seat. With his spectacles on, he built up a growing pile of books with elaborate bindings, which then he read intently. He couldn't really say that he was having too much fun to stop. Rather, he filled the room with a sense of impotence, or perhaps a sense of impending danger, as though every second wasted was a tragedy. In the sealed room, a dense dust danced through the air, which was thick. The stench of chemicals that exuded a mix of suspicious odors. I don't like the sound of that. Oh, he even has his own mini Beatrice poster. I'm just gonna call it a poster because that would be funny. Those odors were somehow sweet and happy. Anyone with a normal nose came in here, the first thing they do would be open a window and ventilate this room. Old and crusty, and then he's got the big night things. Knocking against the study door had been going on for a while. Voice calling father sometimes mingled within the knocks. As Kinzo heaved a deep sigh, he snapped it shut the old book in his hands and slammed it on the table. And he yelled at Cross, who was still knocking on the door. Silence! Enough with the racket, you fool! Who told you the door would be open if you but knocked? I'll crucify the imbecile. Wish to suffer the same fate? Father, this is the day of the family conference, which happens to only once a year, is it not? Ruins gather down below. Please come out. Roz yelled out to his father through the door. Enzo always shut himself up in the study, hating it when nearly anyone, even his family, entered the room. For that reason, Cross had no choice but to call him from the corridor like this. Bless me not. But who is this everyone of which you speak? Do you mean the fools trying to drag me out of here? Then kill them all. Tear them apart, use their bodies for firewood, and feed them into the witch's earth. Put a pot in that hearth to boil the wormwood. Do I dare ask a hearth? Earth. We learn fun words here. Oh, that's the wrong tab. Earth. Brickstone concrete area in front of a hot. Oh, so that's what it's called. Learn something new every day. Put a pot in that earth to boil the wormwood. Force those imbeciles who dare try to lure me out of here to drink the broth of the apocalypse. I will soak it in their dregs in liquor. Ah, where is Genji? Call for Genji. Have my demonic absence prepared. This whispering of the green fairy reaches me no longer. Where is Genji? Bring him here. On the other side of the door, Cross, Nanjo, and Genji kept waiting for the master out of his house, who stubbornly refused to come out. Looks like he hates me to the core. Voice doesn't reach him anymore. Cross shrugged as though saying, it's no use. Smiled bitterly. In the beginning, he hadn't really expected his father to respond to his calls. Ever since it was the duty of the eldest son, he had tried as a formality. Kinzo-san, your sons, daughters, and grandchildren have come to see you, have they not? You just let them see your face, if only for a short while. Shut up, be silent. You dare astonish me, Nanjo. I never told anyone to get you. I told them to get Genji. Now call for him immediately. I'm short, and the apostles are already readying their trumpets. So why can't you foolish sheep understand? Enzo slammed an old heavy book against the table over and over. That racket clearly expressed his great displeasure. Enzo put his spectacles down and flew up from his chair. Spread his arms wide open as if to sing up to a packed opera house, as if appealing to someone, and yelled. Why is there always something like this in my way? I would throw it all away. I would offer up everything. And there is only one thing I ask for, in repayment. Oh, Beatrice, if I could see your smile, but one more time, I would plunder the smiles of earth and offer them all up to you. O commanders of the legions of locusts, reap the smiles of the earth. Everything is filthy, everything is irksome. Why must I suffer this independent on this most precious of days? Cough, cough, call for Genji. Cough, cough, cough. Me when my opponent won't switch to Genji in Overwatch. I have no idea what he's yelling about. Probably lost his mind now. Ah, son. Isn't it a bit harsh to say such a thing to your own father? My father is already dead. There's nothing here but a phantom of what my father once was. At any rate, as long as he has no intention of coming out, there's nothing we can do. Enzo-san. Choking coughs continued to pour from the study. Going back downstairs would be a waste to let the fruits of Goza's prized cooking talent get any colder. One of those few things our relatives can look forward to when they come to this house. Cross spun around. He looked at his watch, mumbling and acting as though he had wasted time doing something he knew would be in vain. Genji-san, father is calling for you. Keep him company. Certainly. Dr. Nanjo, let's go eat. If we stay here any longer, the sweet stench will ruin our sense of taste. That bad, huh? I mean, it makes sense. It's just an old dusty room. Without waiting for Nanjo, Cross went downstairs. Genji urged Nanjo to go and eat. Nanjo glanced between the study door and Cross's back as the latter disappeared down the stairs, then let out a deep sigh. Sorry, Genji-san. Please allow me to leave this in your hands. Yes, please leave it to me. Do what you can to avoid giving them alcohol. And alcoholics. What you can. That habit's far too difficult to break. Is Genji not here yet? Who dares keep Genji from coming? Where's Genji? Call for Genji. Please, allow me to handle the situation here. Very well. Forgive me. Nanjo bowed slightly and descended the stairs. Genji watched him leave, then knocked on the study door. Esther, it is Genji. Genji, why have you kept me waiting so long? You're alone, I trust? Correct. I'm alone. Genzo returned to his seat in the study and pressed an old-fashioned switch on the table. Why does he have a switch on the table? After a small delay, the heavy sound of a door unlocking could be heard. Oh, that answered my question. Genzo was convinced that his family wanted to make a mess of the study. Perhaps someone had once opened the window for some air and ended up scattering things that were important research materials, leaving him in a terrible mood. Genzo had outfitted his room with a formidable lock, preventing anyone from entering without his permission, and thereby sealing himself in a jail of his own making. Genji, whom he trusted the most, was relatively free to enter the room, but even that it didn't always hold. Genzo was in a bad mood. Even Genji wouldn't be able to. Anyone else would be limited to holding a conversation through the door, unable to see Genzo's face. Most of the time, what they got could hardly be called a conversation. It's just one way yelling through the door and back. However, this didn't trouble the rest of the family much. After all, it just wasn't worth the effort to disturb the aging family head. It was impossible to please and always stayed shut away, immersed in his research. But dude, the immersion's so good. Taking advantage of his refusal to leave his room, they supported his isolation, putting his care entirely into the hands of the servants. Genji, my usual. I'm busy. Yes, sir. Genji headed over to the corner of his study. Giving him alcohol. Their suspicious-looking bottles, boasting venomous colors, were on display. They were actually liquor, but considering the shady atmosphere of this room, one might easily suspect them of being some ghastly poison. Inside the study, the mysterious collection of books gathered by Kinzo had grown into a mountain. Made a mountain out of molehill. They were bizarre, ancient, or banned books, all of them either forbidden, cursed, or sealed. How many banned books are there actually in the world? It's kind of interesting topic. If you tried to call them old books, Kinzo would fly into a rage and say, call them grimoires. I want to see if there's a list of banned books. Hold on. Banned books. It's a whole list of banned books out there. It's a whole archive of them, my page will load. I hate when they ask me to do cookies and stuff. Okay, that's not an actual list. Most frequently banned books. Oh, that's a lot. That's actually a very lot of books. Huh. That's interesting to think. Not that I actually read anyway. I just like interesting stuff. Nah, who am I kidding? I'm an archive. I do read. Don't worry. Reading quite literally right now. It begs the question, if Umineko was a book, would it be popular? Like, would it be the point where it'd get movie adaptations? That would probably be awful. That is a spider. Yuck. Okay, I got rid of it. Okay. There were also many mysterious objects that presumably held some meaning with regards to black magic, like candles suspiciously melted and molded into strange shapes. Constellations drawn a certain celestial globe and contained quite a few shapes that would draw puzzled looks from anyone familiar with today's night sky. Carelessly strewn about books contain many illustrations, all of them of a religious or mysterious nature, including some deceptive, demonically grotesque subjects with bizarre diagrams of various magic circles. Above all, a sweet poisonous smell filled the room, profoundly assaulting the eyes and noses of those who entered for the first time. Eventually, must surely take a person to go numb to lose the grip on reality. He certainly has. Beside the study, Genji prepared Kinzo's usual drink with a well-trained hand. No one would even think of drinking such an ominous dark green liquid in the complex and ordinary gas unless someone first told them that it was alcohol. Poured a little into the glass. If you put alcohol in anything, people will drink it. People drink whatever. Like, I saw the worst thing imaginable at the store, like sparkling hard alcohol or something. Like, sparkling water is already nasty as itself, so you put alcohol in it and that just, ugh. Can't even imagine. Poured a little into the glass, then he placed a cube of sugar in a strangely shaped spoon and poured water from a pitcher over it. Strangely, when the transparent water was poured, the dark green liquid turned into cloudy white. It was a strange optical illusion, as though the water had caused a chemical reaction and made the drink become even more unrecognizable as liquor. And Genji added original flavors Kinzo loved, fine-tuning its taste. There's no recipe. Thought it was a spider again. I already hit it. There was no recipe. Its success was measured by only Kinzo's mood swings when he drank it, and it had taken Genji's many decades to learn how to do it right. Genji placed the glass on a tray and walked over to Kinzo. This time Kinzo was glazing out the window. Did I say glazing? Here, master. Thank you. Kinzo had regained his composure and was now unrecognizable as the shouting, screaming, yelling man from a few moments ago. Looking at this man from behind as he tilted his glass and gazed down at the scenery beyond the window, he projected a sense of dignity and intelligence. Allowed Kinzo to set his glass down at any time. Genji motionlessly waited behind Kinzo and to his left, as though you were living in a sideboard. Then without living sideboard. But without averting his eyes from the window, Kinzo held out his glass. There was only a mouthful remaining. It was not a gesture intended to set upon the tray, but a motion to hand the glass over to Genji. Drink, my friend. Your words are too kind for me. No need for ceremony between us. Drink, my friend. Thank you. Genji respectfully received the glass and inclined to it at a little taste to its content. After that, he gulped it down. I attempted to imitate your conclusion, but no matter how I try, concoction, I cannot replicate the taste. Will you make it as your relish? Thank you very much. It's the fruit of your guidance, master. Kenzo smiled at his loyal subject, who refused to put aside drink even when asked to. However, he was not making fun of him. His smile was relaxed, as though chuckling at a close friend's old, unshakable habit. You have grown old together. Stopped counting the years long ago. Entirely thanks to you, master, that I have been able to live like this until today. Kenzo gave a faint smile, as if to say he didn't need any flattery. Till now, you have served me exceedingly well. My sons call me eccentric. Servants that were once only, many have quit in fear of me. Only you serve me now. Words are more than I deserve. My life will not last much longer. Sons are vultures, lazily waiting for my inheritance to fall in their hands. Cross is a fool who squanders money like water, who throws away 2 gold coins to obtain 1. And then he has the gall to claim that he's earned money. Eva is a slave to money who thinks of me as a mere chicken. When I die, she plans to use my bones to make a broth. That dunce Rudolph just wants to fool around with women. He was aboard the baby of a man who came from nowhere and about whom we knew nothing. Jessica is an incompetent and uneducated. George has none of what it takes to be a man. Adler is a fool who threw away the honor of the Ushiromiya family. Maria is obscene to the eye. Why is the Ushiromiya blood so incompetent? Is there no one worthy to inherit the glory I built? Ah, of course, I know this is the part of Beatrice's curse, I know it. Ah, you golden witch, are you trying to take revenge against me in this way? You want to hate me, then do so. If you want to run away, then run. I won't let you go, I won't let you go, I won't let you go, I won't let you go. You belong to me. You must always be in my arms. For all my life, you must stay in my birdcage for all eternity, whispering only to me. Beatrice, why won't you smile back at me? Ooh, Beatrice! Ooh. After howling, Kenzo choked once again. Genji set the tray and glass down and rubbed his master's back. Genji's facial expression did not change. It's always like this. Thank you, my friend. In his seemingly deranged fit subsided, Kenzo regained his composure once again. It's like seeing 2 different people, a wild Kenzo and a composed Kenzo, living together inside one body. So I have decided I cannot bear to spend my timid remaining years procrastinating like this. Is that another freaking spider, dude? What the hell, man? I don't know where it went. Now I'm concerned. It's on my desk somewhere. I don't know. But when it comes back, it's not going to be alive much longer. That's what I have to say. I killed one earlier, but there's another one. There's been way too many bugs around here lately. So I've decided I cannot bear to spend my timid remaining years procrastinating like this. I have one final coin to bet, and then I choose to abandon it to the whims of the demon's roulette. The power of magic is always determined by the risk of the gamble. like visiting a shrine at the Hour of the Ox in ancient Japanese sorcery to nail a cursed doll to a tree. Magical power is produced specifically because of the risk that it will be seen within the 7 days the curse takes. The greater the risk, the stronger the magic power will be. What is bro yapping about? Many miracles that happened in my myth might be called the crystallization of shocking magic power with a low probability of occurrence in an astronomical list. That Moses parted the waters of the sea was not a miracle god. The risk of the desperate situation cornered by the soldiers on the Red Sea shore weighed upon the scales of slaughter and gave birth to that miraculous magical power. If the same thing occurred again on the same scale, the sea would surely fall apart. He's just yapping and yapping. After all, Moses was able to magnificently summon a miracle engraved on but one countless mercurial results on the roulette of those with power. That is the force that can triumph over astronomical odds. Indeed, good fortune that can grasp in miracles. Those is magic power itself. To obtain this mighty power, one must face the risk of despair. Those who possess no magical power may call that desperation rather than a bet. However, people who truly possess magical power can grasp hold of that miracle and make the enigma come into being. And if that power exists within me, I'll seize that miracle. I'll have a chance at making the wish I devoted my life towards come true. Kenzo looked up to the sky outside the window. He spread his arms as if appealing to someone up in the skies. Teachers? If only I were capable of grasping that miracle. Ooh, speechless, show me a lovely smile once more. No matter how much time passes, your face does not vanish. I just want to see your smile, that is all. I'll return everything you granted me. I'll return all the glory I've gained since that day. I don't need fortune, prestige, or gold. I'll return everything you gave me. I just want to see your smile. I beg you, Beatrice. Ooh. His nonsensical yells became a scream and then a wail. Kenzo slumped to the floor, tearing at it with both hands. Kenji had no choice but to wordlessly watch over his master's lamentations. He done yapping? Oh, thank goodness. He's done yapping. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the family's head's health is not at its best. He seemed extremely sad to not be able to share lunch with you now that you've all gathered for this event that occurs but once a year. Yoda, let the lunch begin. Certainly, I shall begin today's luncheon. Dr. Nanjo, is father's conditions really that bad? Couldn't he have at least let us see his face? More of a problem of a mood than a physical condition. For that, there's no medicine I can prescribe. Hey, are we talking about his mood again? You gotta be kidding me. We took time out of our schedules during this damn busy autumn season just to come and find out how he's doing. Now he's... Then you should be happy, Rudolph. You know how he's doing. Or what, would you rather take my place and try to persuade our little humored father to come join us? Are you kidding? Rudolph shrugged. Apparently, though, Rudolph was willing to bet to be an indignant at how self-centered his father was. He wasn't particularly disappointed to be spared at a face-to-face meeting. Does it seem like his mood will improve before dinner? Krasny-san? I have no idea. If you want to know that, you should ask him directly. Although I think his mood will improve faster if we don't bother him. Kenji-san's the only one who can get grandfather out of a funk. Pretty pathetic though, making the servants deal with your own parents' bad mood. Jessica, don't speak out of turn. She'd planned for her complaint to be heard only by her cousins, but it had been reached even Cross's ears. Scolded, Jessica scrawled and turned away, sulking. He's as cranky as they make him sound. He can't be that terribly sick, right? I mean, they're saying he's in a bad mood, not that he's got no energy, which at least proves he's got his wits about him. Because grandfather has especially strong willpower. However, that doesn't necessarily mean his body will be able to keep up. This last year, they keep saying he has 3 months left. The initial diagnosis is correct. Grandfather is prolonging his life by willpower alone. It's right for us to worry about him. Lunch started with the family's head seat still empty. The man who should be sitting here had already gone old, and the brilliant glory which had rebuilt the Ushiromi family in the span of a single lifetime was being forgotten. Even though they were beginning the meal with that seat still empty, no one felt it was that odd anymore. Oh. What's going on here? Good save point. The Ushiromiya family conference was held once every year on the first weekend of October. Normal family were to hold a so-called family conference, you'd expect it to be nothing more than a reunion of rarely seen relatives who greet each other around the buckets of sushi or something. However, part of the family's great fortune has been lent out to the grandfather's children. No one in this family was considered an adult until they had met with success in the business. This meeting literally was a conference. How much of the fortune was invested? What sort of business was conducted? How much profit was earned? Getting ready to learn economics and business. As a result, how much of the fortune borrowed from the main family could be repaid? Or possibly how much more would be borrowed for future business ventures? What lessons had they learned, and what could they learn from their mistakes? It seems that topics like these were discussed very seriously in the past. My dad said it was like lying on a bed of nails. Apparently it used to be a very serious family meeting, which people were bathed in a scornful and angry voice, and some people even got slapped despite their age. Or that had become a thing of the past, thank goodness. No wonder old man is so cranky. Now with everyone pursuing their own business ventures and achieving success, it was becoming more of a normal yearly get-together. Even so, telling grandfather about recent events was extremely stressful. While it was nothing more than a simple get-together for us grandchildren, it was a real stomachache for our parents. The absence of the man who was the source of all this trouble, regardless of the reason, probably made today's lunch taste much more delicious. Praise, while the demon is not around, everyone can relax, comes to mind. Anyway, let's introduce Jessica's father, whose face I haven't seen for 6 years. The man sitting to my father's left is his older brother and Jessica's father. Uncle, this name is sure is easy to read. Yep. Cross. Now that we've gotten used to the string of weird names, our perspective is totally skewed. So Cross doesn't actually seem that bad. It does kind of sound like, pretty normal. Even started to sound kind of cool. It's like with Aunt Natsushi, I didn't have many memories of speaking with Uncle Cross. He had never been one to chat to children, and I felt like he was always talking with adults, just like Aunt Natsushi. According to my father's gossip, he was a spiteful and violent man. What he said is true. Uncle Cross used to be very demeanoring from position as the oldest sibling and was despised by all the other siblings. Though despite all... I swear I keep seeing a spider, I'm going insane. Though despite that, those siblings all seem to be chatting happily together. Oh well, even if their relationship was bad when they were children, sometimes when people grow up and live apart from each other, their relationships change. It's probably what this was. After all, they had children about the same age. Sharing the same family environment, they probably profited by exchanging opinions. Maybe because of that, a short while ago, the circle of parents began to discuss the exams Jessica and I would be taking. Jessica, in order to escape the questions about the exams from my father on her left, purposely faced right while firing rapid series of comments, not giving him any chance to get a word in. Don't blame her. Moving on, let's look at the end opposites from Cross and the others. The very last seat at the table, an old gentleman with a sturdy physican sat facing Kairi-san. This was my first time meeting him. I'd only just been introduced to him, but it seems he's grandfather's personal doctor, a man called Nanjo. I heard he used to own a huge clinic on the nearby island of Nijima, but he turned it over to his son and began living a life of leisure in his old age. He had known grandfather since the very beginning, when the mansion was first constructed on this island, and had built up a relationship over several decades. I thought at first that the two of them might have gotten to know each other through grandfather's suspicious hobbies, but it seems like he's actually grandfather's chess partner. Oh, chess. See, that kind of hobby seems very like our grandfather, what with his love of all things Western, so he's a reverse weeaboo. I think those are called Westaboos. Manjo's probably the only person who could enter Rokujima despite being neither a family member nor a servant. He looked like a calm old gentleman as he listened to the discussion between Kairi and the other women who sat near him. Considering how long he had stayed by the side of a short-tempered grandfather, his generous heart was probably nothing to laugh at. Still, even if he was a family doctor, having anyone outside the Ushirome family attend the family conference was a little odd. And there's basically family. Made me think that a grandfather's condition might have worsened so much it'd be a major topic of discussion at today's conference. After all, George said something like that just a second ago. Something about how we'd been getting continuous reports around since last year that he didn't have long live grandfather. It's nasty to think about it, but consider how rich grandfather is. The time of his death, his wealth will suddenly be released, probably along with a fair share of our parents' stomach acid. It'll lead to ulcers for everyone. After all, this sort of thing just gets messier when there's more wealth to be divided. They have infinite wealth. I wish that game was good. There's a good chance they'll be talking about stuff like that at the family conference. Still, it's not like it's got anything to do with us kids. Finally, even though he hasn't grown up, let me introduce our grandfather. Or shown up. Obviously he's grown up. The person who should be sitting in that insipid chair is Ushirome Kinzo. Really sucks. Everyone else in the family has these weird names, but he's got his perfectly normal one himself. Only his name was written Kinzo, but he at least let him call him Goldsmith or something. It's really weird. I totally freak out. You can probably guess by now, he's a frightening person with an extremely short temper. One of his grandchildren, not a son, and I haven't seen him since elementary school. To that, I have no memory of being beaten myself, but our parents were apparently raised with an iron fist. That earlier conversation between my dad and Uncle Cross about who should go convince grandfather to come down is pretty darn funny once you know their background. Can't really tell grandfather's story without covering that pivotal event back before the Showa era, 1926 to 1989. Till the Meiji 1868, 1912, and Taisho 1912 to 1926 eras, the Ushirome family was great and prosperous. They owned several spinning mills, making them rich enough to just double over laughing every day as the money kept rolling in. Incidentally, grandfather was a member of the branch family and had pretty much nothing to do with the main family. Not only was he way down the list of people who could inherit the headship, but he had hardly any contact with the glamorous main family. However, during the Great Kanto earthquake in the year Taisho 12, 1923, the mansion owned by the Urashima family, the Odawara, was flattened. Spinning mills in Tokyo were all burned down in a huge fire. The Urashima family lost most of its wealth and family members in an instant. That's scary. Fire gotta be one of the worst ways to go out, next to water. Nope. That's my headphones. But once they started trying to figure out who the successor to the Ushiromi family should be, they apparently found out no one remaining except Kinzo and his branch family. Kinzo's later reminiscences, he referred to this as good fortune so great that it overturned fate. That grandfather's boring everyday life did a 180. He was entrusted with reviving the dying Ushiromi family, which had lost nearly all of its wealth. However, just because it had been entrusted with the task didn't mean he could just accomplish it. Apparently those around him weren't exactly expecting much. However, this is when grandfather began displaying his extraordinary talent and good luck. Grandfather used all the family's remaining wealth, as well as everything from the hair on his head to his toenails, as a collateral in order to borrow a massive amount of money. Once he built up a gigantic war chest, he immediately invested in businesses. Smart. It was like someone tumbling down a hill on a bike without any brakes, then jumping onto a neighboring bike, and then another one. Like some crazy street performance. I'll bet everyone thought grandfather had no business ability whatsoever. However, after several miracles and turns of good luck with his coincidence piling up, every chance taken advantage of, he was suddenly in control of a powerful connections with the occupying forces. At that time, MacArthur and the GHQ were the ultimate authority in Japan. Grandfather, in a twinkle of an eye, began succeeding in business under the protection of the occupying forces, quickly becoming rich. At this point, it's probably safe to say that information not luck saved the day. Must have made some seriously deep connections with the occupying forces. As you do. Umineko. Grandfather knew beforehand about emergency demands that would be made for the Korean War. No, it was more than that. He must have predicted those emergency demands from the very beginning, when he started investing his money. History books made it sound like all but Japan made a large profit off the emergency demands during the Korean War, but it wasn't. That isn't actually true. Only a very limited of the super rich played the money game and made an easy profit. Most of the citizens remained poor. In other words, grandfather was a member of this extremely lucky group of winners. Of course he was. I mean, the Ushirome family is real. That is just real. Pretty sure this. Oh wait. Pretty sure this all happened during the Showa year 25, 1950 or so. Great Kanto earthquake happened in Taisho 13, 1924, so that means grandfather was able to revive the near-dead Ushirome family in about 20 years. The level had been higher than it had ever been before. I just had to take a quick break. That you'd think he'd revive the main family in Odora, but for some reason he went into something as crazy as buying an entire small island in the Izu archipelago. But an entire island is not something you can ordinarily do today. I could. Our grandfather was clever. He contacted the GHQ and applied for the establishment of a marine resource base. acquired the island as a business property and then tossed that project aside and claimed it as his own plot of land. After the war, there were prevention measures against food shortages, and having the sponsorships of the GHQ meant that nobody could oppose him. From what I've heard, the Tokyo Metropolis of that day offered this land to him practically for free. Wow. Only I could get land for free right now. Later, Tokyo made difficulties by telling Kinzo to return the land, but the pushy GHQ intervened. Anyway, it seems under the table bribes did their work well. In the end, the city gave up in frustration. Grandfather, with a considerable skill and luck, managed to weather the stormy seas out of that period, obtaining a vast fortune in his own island. Of course, it probably wasn't all luck. He was obsessed with all things Western, which helped him cultivate his English skills. He was able to use his advantage and sink his teeth into the GHQ. Mansion was built on the island soon after. This mansion is smashed. Yoshiromi Mansion. Grandfather, with his love of the Western style, made this once uninhabited island a canvas upon which he could realize his dreams to his heart's content. He now had the Western mansion of his dreams, overflowing with emotion and atmosphere, a beautiful garden featuring all sorts of roses. And he had a private beach where nobody other than himself could be permitted to even leave a footprint. This would be a dream come true for any boy. After that, he made good use of his huge fortune. Being a large stockholder in an extremely stable iron and steel industry, was able to live an easy and comfortable life just using the dividends. Well, he's just that incredible. This kind of person usually has the ability of foreseeing and predict the future, or at least that is how they're portrayed after the fact. Grandfather denies all that, repeatedly saying that he was simply blessed with extraordinary luck. Anyway, even a lord like that can't help but grow increasingly eccentric when looked up alone on the island, where all of his dreams are made real. Everyone knows that he's had a Western obsession from the start. But none of our parents really know when his bizarre black magic hobby began. His love of black magic began back when he became fascinated with everything Western. Did he miraculously stretch out good luck while reviving his family, cause him to feel a mysterious power in himself. At some point, Grandfather began to make the research of black magic his life work. Hey, black magic. He filled his study up with suspicious books, chemicals, and magical items, as he became increasingly bizarre. What I heard, those around him warmly watched over him, figuring out that someone who had achieved success in life had the right to do as he pleased, but no way that's true. We were probably just creeped out thinking, that's disgusting, I don't want to get involved. Fair. Anyway, that agitated period of was an age of big gambles with both opportunities and risks. I mean, that's what a gamble is. Say Grandfather was born in this time period. He would have had no opportunities and would probably have advanced like a chess piece from a mandatory education to college at a leisurely pace, never becoming more than an average salaryman. If that happened, he'd probably have to sat somewhere happily taken behind his boss's back. No. Not in a fancy dining hall like this, more like a table in some bar. And again, I'll bet his family conference would be a whole lot more relaxing if that were the case. Imagine that, a family conference at a bar. Okay, that's enough about the old geezer. More importantly, let's talk about this incredible lunch. I'm already convinced by that sashimi salad appetizer. Notice sense an excellent chef. Plus these fish were caught in the adjacent seas, weren't they? They're totally different from the sashimi you get at the supermarket. Duh. Hey, quit it that way. Your upbringing will be exposed. Everyone let out a big laugh. Damn it, you say that even though you love cheap pubs. Ah, I've eaten at many unusual places because of work, but this stands up right there with the best of them. Be willing to bet Go-To-San used to be pretty well known around in those circles. Well, I don't know the details. Stuff got complicated at the long-standing hotel I used to work at. What with them opening a new establishment with the same name and breaking into faction or whatever it was. In the middle of that, he was apparently forced to retire. At that time, Mom just happened to be sending out job offers for his servant. Goto removed the empty plates. He began to recount his own bumpy past without losing his smile. The world is a difficult place. However, thanks to the madam, I was given a chance to display my skills as a chef once again. It's time for the Oshiromiya family. Although I enjoy experiencing the smiles of a large number of people, I also find it quite entertaining to perform more delicate work that can please the limited number of those who have employed me. All this is thanks to the opportunity given to me by the madam. Goto-san respectfully bowed his head towards Aunt Natsushi. That's because you were the most talented of the applicants. The decision was purely ejected, not based on personal feelings, so there's no need to thank me. Dang, why does Aunt Natsushi always have to sound so indifferent? Only she spoke with a bit more kindness. Might as leave a different impression. Anan-chan and Kumasawa-san entered the hallway serving cart. Please excuse us. Now then, let's move on to the dessert. Goto-san and all the others laid the beautifully adorned dessert out in front of us all. Yes, it's true when they say you have another stomach for dessert. It's true. No matter how hungry I am, I still feel full. I still don't feel full enough for a dessert. I thought I'd already filled up on delicious food. As soon as I laid my eyes on the dessert, my stomach started yelling more. Don't know much about desserts, but it looked really good. I love desserts, probably a bit too much. White pudding-like substance was garnished with 2 shades of red sauce. Elegant rose petals adorned the dish. Normally during high-class meals like this, you're supposed to wait for the chef to extol the virtues of this particular meal before eating. Where Maria was completely indifferent to strict rules like that, so she got excited by this beautiful and delicious looking dessert, jumping into the fray as soon as it was placed. Aunt Rose scolded her, calling it bad manners, but George responded by saying, No, it's okay. Ooh, this part's sour. Badly, this one's no good. Ooh, Maria exclaimed as she sampled the 2 colored sauces. What, some are good and some are bad? Okay, I'll give it a go. Only one sauce was sweet and the other was sour. Sweet and sour sauce? Despite it being bad manners, I also stuck my finger and licked it. Well, one of the sauces was sour enough to make you pucker up. If it were yellow, I'd suspected lemon, but I couldn't guess what kind of sourness would be red. I decided to ask Shannon, who was putting away the serving cart behind us. Shannon, what kind of sauce is the sour stuff? Anan-chan hesitated. Maybe her job was just to set the table, so she doesn't really know. Still, even considering that, she seems pretty stressed. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. Did they use some ingredient we'd better off not knowing about? Well, Natsushi made a gesture that seemed to indicate an oncoming headache. Masawa-san was setting the table at the opposite seat and began to chuckle. What do you think we're made out of? Oh, it'll shock you. Huh? I don't have a clue. Wait a second, Kumasawa-san, that last pretty creepy. What is it? You poisoned the food. Don't tell anyone, okay? Listen very carefully. Kumasawa-san leaned across from the other side of the table. I leaned forward myself when she asked. Her interest caught Jessica, Georgette, and of course Maria put their ears closer. Ooh, what? Quickly. See, the sour part is made from. You squeeze from a mackerel, ho ho ho. What? Mackerel? That's crazy. We all thought horrified. Ew. Only Maria accepted it. nodding sagely. Of course she does. Mackerels are sour. This is what comes out when you squeeze at them. That is not true. Wahahaha. Maria started clamoring that Mackerel was sour. The adults were unable to contain their laughter. Only Aunt Rosa, her face red, whispered to Maria that Mackerel's sour only once prepared as Shimisaba. Now I totally remember. Kumasawa-san was always like this, wasn't she? I think I remember tricking me too in all sorts of ways when I was young. Most lethal has gotta be that one. Those flimsy back cleans and Chinese dishes. They're kikurage mushrooms. He told me they were penguin meat, and I went all around school like a smartass telling everyone, didn't I? Kumasawa Bob-chan, you sure haven't changed. You know Moria's gonna believe it now, right? Oh, it's just a joke. Goto-san's gonna tell us what the sauce really is, won't he? Goto looked a little put off about his masterpiece being laughed at for such a bad reason. Bizarre reason. But after clearing his throat once, he introduced the dessert to us. Well, allow me to introduce our dessert. After seeing how much you all enjoyed the rose garden earlier today, I finished this panna cotta in rose garden style. Rose petals scattered across were selected just from that very rose garden. Sauce is a combination of two reds, strawberry and rose hips. Please enjoy this mixture of strawberry sweetness and the rose hips sourness. Furthermore, the rose petals are merely decorative, so please avoid them late. You're not gonna stop me now. As I said, please enjoy. Oh man, I almost want to applaud before eating. Like with medicine, reading that detailed description seems to make it work a whole lot better. Goto-san, as if... I think I'm gonna call it now, I'm kinda tired. I think that's a good place. Till next time, gamers. Night.